angry widower exposed his heart, but when a stranger saved his son, an incredible love story UNF, Mike couldn't shake the feeling that the world had dimmed ever since his wife passed away. Every sunrise reminded him of the light she brought into his life. Now, it painted everything in shades of gray. He woke each morning before dawn, the air heavy with the smell of oil and metal as he prepared for another day in his cramped workshop. He was a mechanic, but every turn of the wrench felt heavier than the last, each task a reminder of the void at home. His son Leo, just 10, was a whirlwind of energy and spirit. Full of questions and dreams, he clung to Mike's side, the warmth of the boyish laughter battling the chill of Mike's grief. Yet, Mike often found himself lost in the clamor of work, the emotional needs of his son slipping through his fingers like sand. He was a man forged by hard work and duty, but those very virtues had built walls around his heart. Walls Leo seemed to bounce off like a pebble point. One stormy evening, things spiraled out of control. The rain slammed against the windows like it was trying to break through. Mike, frustrated by an old engine that refused to cooperate, snapped at Leo over what should have been a trivial matter. "Just let me work," he barked. Leo's eyes widened in hurt. "You don't even see me," he shouted back. In that moment, history echoed between them, pain, anger, and unspoken fears of fuming. Leo rushed out into the rain, the door slamming behind him like a gunshot. Panic gripped Mike's heart, an icy fist tightening around it. He scrambled outside, the storm drenching him in seconds. "Leo!" he yelled, fear gripping his throat like a vice. The boy was gone. That's when Jess came into the picture, a retired war veteran and kind-hearted stranger who had just moved to town. She appeared like a beacon in the tempest. "Let us find him," she said, urgency in her voice. With shared determination, they traversed the stormy streets, the rain masking their tears and fears. As they trudged along, Jess shared her own story of loss, a wife who had succumbed to illness. They exchanged tales of resilience and heartbreak, each story stripping away another layer of Mike's stoic facade. Beneath all that anger and grief, there was something raw and real. A flicker of hope ignited within him. "I'm terrified," he admitted, voice trembling as he spoke the truth he had buried deep. "Love is hard," Jess replied softly. "But running from it won't bring you peace." Those words stuck with him as the weight of the storm mirrored the turmoil within him. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Just as they built a tentative camaraderie, dark clouds rolled in, foreshadowing an impending danger. The types of storms that left a town shaken, challenging not just buildings but the very fabric of families. Mike's heart sank. If he didn't confront the fears that divided him and Leo, loss might rear its head again. The winds howled and rain lashed against their faces. Just when hope threatened to creep back in, Mike stood at a crossroad. He had to choose, put everything on the line for Leo, or let the tempest pull them further apart. That storm wasn't just outside, it reflected the tumult inside him. As thunder rumbled above, Mike clenched his fists, recognizing this moment as a chance to break free from the shadows and dive into the light. Would he choose to embrace the love left behind and salvage what remained of their bond? Or would the storm swallow him whole? Determination surged through Mike as he stood drenched in rain, panic echoing in his chest. He had lost so much already, he couldn't afford to lose Leo too. The storm roared around them, a wild symphony of crashing thunder and writhing winds, but all he could feel was his own heartbeat, hammering like a war drum. "Leo!" he shouted again, pushing forward through the heavy curtain of water as Jess followed close behind, her eyes scanning the streets, sharp and focused. "Where are you, buddy?" He felt a flicker of fear as he remembered that Leo loved to escape into the woods behind their house. Mike had always thought it was just a child's adventure, but now it seemed like it was a world away. Every moment they spent searching drew Mike deeper into a well of regret. His anger had driven Leo out into this chaos, and if anything happened, look. Jess pointed ahead, her voice cutting through the storm. Mike's heart leaped into his throat. Just ahead, at the edge of the woods, he caught sight of a figure huddled beneath a tree. It was Leo, soaked and trembling, his small body curled up as if trying to shield himself from the wild winds. Without thinking, Mike sprinted toward the boy. "Leo!" he yelled, desperation fueling every stride. When he reached Leo, dropping to his knees in the mud, he pulled him tightly against his chest. "I thought I lost you." The weight of relief washed over him as Leo clung to him, the warmth of their connection piercing the cold of the night. I didn't mean to, I just wanted to be away," Leo stammered, tears mixing with the rainwater cascading down his cheeks. "You weren't listening." The truth struck Mike like a blow. Guilt clawed at him. He had let his frustration blind him to Leo's needs, his fears. He had thought he was protecting his son by burying himself in work, but in reality, he had been pushing Leo away, just like every other unanswered question that hung over their lives since his wife passed. "I'm so sorry, Leo," he said, his voice breaking. "I should have seen you. I should have listened. I'm here now. I'm really here." He tightened his arms around his son. Their bond felt frail after everything they had endured, but here in the storm, surrounded by chaos, it sparked with new life. Jess stood back, giving them a moment to reconnect. She took a breath, recognizing the powerful sight before her. It wasn't just the rain that had driven them together in this moment, it was the purification that love and vulnerability could bring. As the thunder rolled in the distance, Mike turned to Jess. "I don't know what comes next. I've been so afraid." "Then don't be afraid," Jess replied, stepping closer, her presence solid and reassuring. "You've already taken the biggest step. You've acknowledged the love you need to reunite with. Let us take it one day at a time." A glimmer of hope flickered through Mike for the first time in a long while. Maybe the storm was a chance for new beginnings rather than just an end. Leo looked up at him, eyes bright despite the rain, trust slowly rebuilding. "Are you ready to face this together?" Mike asked, feeling the weight of his fears but also the thrill of possibility. Leo nodded. "Can we go back home now?" "Yes," Mike replied, heart swelling with a renewed purpose. They began to walk back slowly, feeling the storm's grip loosen, the rain lessening as they moved onward. As they passed out of the woods, Mike felt a warmth growing inside. Yet, in the distance, something stirred in the shadows, a figure watching them with an intensity that sent chills down Mike's spine. He turned sharply, instincts flaring. Who were they? Were they watching? Just as he contemplated the unknown, a loud crack of thunder erupted, and the storm swelled once more, reminding him that a battle was still ahead against the chaos within and without. But he refused to succumb. The heart that had been so hardened was ready to beat again, intertwined with love, loss, and the courage to rebuild. The journey had just begun, and with it, he sensed something profound was about to unfold. As they stepped out of the woods, the rain began to wane, each droplet that fell seemed to carry away a piece of the weight they had been holding. Mike took a deep breath, feeling the cool air fill his lungs, yet the feeling of being watched lingered like a shadow at the back of his mind. He risked a glance over his shoulder, but there was nothing. Just darkness retreating into the trees. "Let us move faster, okay?" Jess urged, her voice steady as she walked beside them. Leo didn't protest, his small hand clutching Mike's tightly. The bond they had almost lost was now a lifeline, pulling him through the aftermath of the storm both outside and within. After a few minutes, the faint glow of their house came into view, a solid silhouette against the stormy backdrop. They reached the front porch, and Mike paused to look at Leo. The boy appeared fragile but resilient, his wet hair plastered to his forehead and worry lingering in his eyes. "Do you feel safe now?" Mike asked quietly, crouching down to look Leo in the face. Leo nodded slowly, but Mike could see the uncertainty lurking beneath the surface. "Good. Because we're a team, okay? No more hiding away. We talk. We listen. I promise." The weight of those words hung in the air, a promise sealed against a night full of chaos. Jess, still standing by the door, watched them with an understanding smile. "You're doing great, Mike. Just keep talking. Kids need that." Relief washed over Mike again, mixing with a sense of purpose. He turned to Jess. "Thank you for coming with us. I don't think I could have done it alone." "Everyone needs someone sometimes," she replied, her gaze shifting as the wind rustled the trees. Besides, I think you and Leo are going to be just fine. As they stepped inside, the warmth of their home embraced them, a sharp contrast to the wild night outside. Mike took off his drenched jacket, looking back at Leo who was now shaking slightly, whether from the cold or the lingering fright, Mike couldn't tell. "Let us get you a towel and some hot chocolate," Mike said, kneeling to Leo's level again. "How does that sound?" "Really good," Leo replied, a flicker of a smile crossing his lips, bringing hope to Mike's heart that he hurried to the kitchen, pouring steaming water over cocoa powder, the familiar action grounding him. He could still feel the chaos pulling at the edges of his mind, but here, in this moment, all that mattered was Leo. When he returned with the mugs, Jess had turned on a lamp, casting a soft glow around the living room. It felt cozy, as if the house itself was wrapping them in a warm embrace. "Sip slowly," Mike instructed, watching as Leo took a cautious sip, the warmth slowly spreading through his small frame. "Thanks, Dad," Leo said, his voice steadier now. But as Mike opened his mouth to reply, the doorbell rang, cutting through their moment of calm like a knife. "Who could that be?" Jess murmured, frowning slightly as she glanced toward the door. Mike's heart raced, the earlier feeling of being watched resurfacing. He hesitated for a second, then walked toward the door, each step slow like wading through water. He opened it, and the figure standing there made his heart drop. An unfamiliar face, shrouded by a dark coat, the rain still clinging to their clothes. The stranger's eyes locked onto Mike's, intense and piercing. "We need to talk about your son." Caught off guard, Mike stepped back, a chill creeping up his spine. What did this stranger know? Was his family still in danger? "I don't think you realize the storm isn't over yet." The stranger's voice was low, heavy with unspoken truths, leaving Mike on edge about what would come next. Mike's heart raced as he tried to process the stranger's words. What storm? What danger? He glanced back at Leo, whose wide eyes mirrored Mike's own uncertainty. He closed the door halfway, shielding his son from whatever was brewing outside. "Who are you?" Mike questioned, his voice steady despite the tightness in his chest. The stranger took a step forward, rain trickling down their face, mingling with an urgency in their tone. "I can't explain everything here. You need to let me come in." Jess stepped closer, her protective instincts kicking in. "No way. You just show up on a night like this and think we're going to let you inside? What do you know about my family?" The stranger hesitated, their gaze darting between Mike and Jess. "I know what happened in the woods. I know why you were running." Jess gasped softly, and Mike felt the weight of fear wash over him again. He glanced down at Leo, who shifted nervously behind him, clutching his hot chocolate like a shield. "What do you mean?" Mike pressed, his voice lower now, a quiet desperation threading through the words. The stranger inhaled deeply, steadying themselves. "I've seen them. The ones after Leo. They want him." Mike felt as though the ground had shifted beneath him. Adrenaline surged through his veins. "Why? What do they want with him?" "I can't explain it all now. Just know it isn't safe. Not for him, not for any of you." Leo moved closer to Mike, seeking comfort in the broadness of his father. Mike's mind raced, the previous moments of warmth and safety felt like fragile glass now. He couldn't dismiss this stranger without understanding the full extent of the threat. "All right, come in," Mike finally relented, his heart pounding. He opened the door wide enough for the stranger to step inside. "But you need to explain everything." As the stranger entered, Jess remained wary, her eyes flickering to the rain-soaked coat that draped around the figure. "What's your name?" she asked, arms crossed defensively. "Call me Sam," the stranger replied, shaking off droplets like a dog emerging from water. Sam looked first at Leo, who shied away slightly but locked eyes when Sam smiled reassuringly. "Listen, Leo, I know this is scary. But I'm here to help." Still holding his mug, Leo blinked at them. The innocence in his gaze pulled at Mike's heart, mixing hope with worry. Sam took a deep breath, the room unusually quiet. "You need to understand that there are people who believe Leo holds a secret, something powerful. It's why they've been watching you." Mike felt sweat trickle down his spine as he processed the implications. "A secret? What kind of secret?" This was getting deeper, and he needed to keep Leo safe. "It's complicated," Sam replied, glancing outside as if sensing unseen eyes. "But you need to trust me. There's a reason I found you tonight." The thudding of Mike's heart seemed to compete with the pounding rain outside. "Why should we trust you?" "I can help protect him," Sam said, tone earnest. "But time is running out. You have to decide now, to let the truth be revealed, or risk everything trying to protect him." Mike stared into Sam's eyes, searching for honesty in their depths. In that moment, he felt the weight of parental duty. He had to protect Leo at all costs. But at what price? "What are you not telling us?" he pressed, fully aware that unearthing deeper secrets could change everything. The silence weighed heavy as Sam took a step closer, an intensity radiating from them. "I need you to know. Leo's life depends on what comes next. Are you ready for the answers?" As Mike deliberated, a shiver of impending danger coursed through him. He clenched the doorframe like a lifeline, understanding that whatever he chose now would echo through their lives forever. And just then, a low, guttural growl sounded from outside, sending icy fingers down Mike's spine. The shadow of something monstrous moved beyond the porch, lurking just outside the light. "Now or never, Mike," Sam urged, gaze fixed on the approaching darkness. "Make the decision before it's too late." The choice loomed before them, and the storm outside was nothing compared to the one brewing within the walls of their home. Mike's breath caught in his throat as the growl resonated through the night. The sound was primal, a chilling warning that sent ripples of panic through him. He tightened his grip on the doorframe, the wood pressing into his palm, grounding him momentarily. "What was that?" Jess whispered, her voice barely above a tremor. She cast nervous glances around the dimly lit living room, taking in the mundane trappings of their lives, the family photos, the cozy sofa, and felt an overwhelming sense of wrongness. "It's coming from the woods," Sam said, urgency coating their words. "They're near. We need to act fast." "Who is they?" Mike's voice wavered, a mixture of fear and frustration spilling into his words. "Just what are we dealing with here?" Sam took a deep breath, a moment of hesitation flashing in their eyes. "They're hunters. But not the kind you think. They hunt for power, for beings like Leo. They believe he holds something they can't have." Leo remained silent, clutching his mug of cocoa, his wide innocent eyes darting between the adults. Mike's heart ached as he watched his son, his little body so fragile against the backdrop of such looming threats. "What do you mean by beings like Leo?" he pressed, needing to protect the boy from a vague danger that now felt palpably real. "They think he has," Sam started before another growl erupted, more menacing this time. The sound sent Leo stumbling back a step, and Mike instinctively stepped forward to present a barrier between his son and the doorway. A fracture of light illuminated a dark figure standing just out of reach, squirming like a shadow clinging to the night. The air thickened, the tension gnawing at Mike's ribs. "They will stop at nothing to get to him," Sam continued, their voice urgent. "And if they can't have him, they'll take everyone away from him. It's not just about Leo. It's about your family, your home, your lives." "What do we do?" Jess asked, a note of sheer desperation lurking in her voice. "Gather anything you can carry." "We need to leave this place," Sam replied swiftly, their eyes darting to the window, scanning the relentless rain. "I'll explain on the way." Leo's hand slipped into Mike's, squeezing tightly as if he sensed the rising danger. Mike glanced down at his son, the overwhelming instinct to protect guiding him as he fought against the urge to pull Leo into his arms and shield him from it all. "How can we trust you?" "We barely know you," Jess challenged, her tone fierce but her fear undeniable. "Trust me or not, but you need to decide fast," Sam countered, urgency layering every word. "I promise, I'm here for your son. Whatever it takes." The growl sounded again, louder and closer. The beast, whatever it was, had come to lay claim. At that moment, Mike realized he was standing at a precipice. He could remain rooted in fear, or take a leap into the unknown to protect what mattered most. "All right," he finally declared, steeling himself. "We trust you. But you better keep your promises." Sam nodded. "Then let us move." and keep close to each other. As they rushed to gather supplies, nerves sparked like static in the air. Mike scanned their home one last time. This place had been a haven, a sanctuary filled with memories. But now it felt like a cage, and the storm brewing beyond its walls threatened to tear them apart. "Stick together!" Mike shouted, his heart pounding as he ushered Leo and Jess toward the door. They moved quickly, out into the rain, every second feeling like a countdown. As they stepped into the night, Sam hesitated, glancing back at the comforting glow of the house. "I'll come for the boy now," Sam said, voice tense, resolute. "We have to find a safe place before it's too late." Just then, a flash of lightning revealed the outline of something lurking just beyond the tree. Lean dark, and hungry, the icy grip of fear clutched Mike's heart, but he held tight to Leo's hand. "Run!" he shouted, urgency electrifying his voice. But as they dashed forward, the ground beneath them quaked with the sound of a pursuing force, echoing a grim promise of what awaited those who would threaten their family. And in that moment, amidst the frenzy of rain and fear, Mike realized they were on the brink of something much bigger. The truth lay ahead, lurking just as dangerously as the shadows that followed. What were they truly running from, and would they ever find safety? The rain poured relentlessly, drenching them as they sprinted through the darkened landscape. The world around Mike transformed into a swirl of sound and chaos, the pounding rain, the rustling leaves, and the echoing growls that seemed to close in from all sides. "Stick to the path!" Sam shouted, their voice cutting through the storm. Mike glanced back, his heart racing. Leo was struggling to keep up, his small legs moving furiously but faltering against the forces of nature pushing against them. He was terrified but resilient, and Mike felt a surge of pride mixed with fear wash over him. "Almost there," Sam continued, pointing toward a flicker of light in the distance. "That cabin should be safe." A surge of adrenaline propelled Mike forward, but doubt tugged at him. "What if they find us?" he panted, hoisting Leo a little higher against his hip, feeling the boy's heart racing against his chest. The growls reverberated again, now sounding almost like laughter, mocking their desperate flight. "Then we fight," Sam replied, determination bleeding through their words. "But we need to get inside first." Drawing closer to the cabin, Mike squinted through the torrential downpour, searching for refuge. It appeared to be a dilapidated structure, the timber aged and weary. But it was shelter. It would have to do. With the trees looming ominously behind them, they dashed toward it, the door creaking eerily as Sam pushed it open. Inside, the air was musty and stale, filled with the scent of long-forgotten fires and damp wood. Mike wasted no time. He ushered Leo and Jess inside before slamming the door shut, the old wood groaning under pressure. "Do you have a lock?" Jess asked, her eyes wide with dread. Sam hurried to a latch, securing it. "It won't hold for long, but we'll need every second." A metallic clang resonated outside, sending a jolt of fear through Mike. They could hear the beast now, heavy footsteps that drowned in the pulsing rain. Mike turned to Leo, kneeling down to meet his frightened gaze. "Leo, listen to me," he said, forcing calmness into his voice. "You have to be brave. We're going to keep you safe. Can you do that?" Leo nodded, his little face pale but resolute. "I'm not scared, Daddy." Mike felt a swell of emotion, a mixture of pride and the weight of responsibility crashing over him like waves. They found their way to a small corner of the cabin, huddling together while Sam peered through a grimy window. "Can you see anything?" Jess asked, her hands wringing together. Sam shook their head. "It's too dark. But whatever it is, it's out there. We need a plan." The growling intensified, and it felt as if the sound was seeping through the walls themselves, threatening to consume them whole. Mike felt the air grow heavy with dread. "What kind of hunters are we dealing with?" he pressed, frustration flaring within him. "The kind that won't stop until they get what they want," Sam replied, determination blazing in their eyes. "And they want Leo." The reality of the moment crashed down on Mike again, the searing panic returning. "I'm not going to let that happen," he declared, fear morphing into a fierce protectiveness. As they huddled together, the shadows danced outside, twisting and shifting, making Mike's heart pummel against his ribs. He had never been one to back down from challenges, but this This was bigger than just a fight. This was about surviving for his son. In the stillness, a thought struck him hard. Sam, he said urgently, if they want Leo, why not offer something else? A trade? Sam looked at him with a mix of surprise and skepticism. You mean? Yeah. What if we lure them away? Make them think they can have Leo, but instead we get a chance to escape? A flicker of hope sparked in Sam's eyes. It's reckless, but it might work. However, we need to be ready for whatever comes next. They had little time to figure things out. The shadows thickened, and the growls transformed into distinct snarls. They were pacing, circling close to the cabin. Mike could almost feel their breath, hot and malicious. As fear danced through him, a calm resolve settled. He had lost so much before, but now he had something precious to protect. Whatever happens, we're in this together, he promised, feeling the warmth of Jess and Leo beside him, holding tight, their shared breath a lifeline in the oppressive dark. Just then, a loud crash echoed through the night. The door shuddered as something slammed against it, a reminder that the danger was no longer lurking outside. It was right there, relentless and hungry, and as Mike gripped Leo's hand, a single chilling thought seized him: would he be strong enough to face what came next? The cabin trembled around them, the wood groaning with the weight of whatever had struck it. Mike's heart raced, an unrelenting drumbeat of fear and defiance. He squeezed Leo's hand tighter, feeling him tremble but stand firm beside him. Jess looked between them, eyes wide, the flicker of hope and terror mingling in her gaze. Did you see what it was? She whispered. No, Sam replied, voice low but steady. Just shadows moving fast and something big. They moved their eyes towards the windows, their senses heightened. Each droplet of rain played off the cabin roof, creating an ominous rhythm that matched the pounding of Mike's heart. A crash echoed again, this time accompanied by a low growl that felt like ice sliding down Mike's spine. The thing outside wasn't just a creature, it was a predator, and they were its prey. Mike? Leo's voice was small, yet it cut through the tension in the air. What if it gets in? For now, we stay quiet, Mike answered sternly, fighting the urge to let his own fear reflect in his son's eyes. We stay hidden, okay? Leo nodded, but Mike could see the question swirling beneath his brave facade. The last thing Mike wanted to do was lie to him. He knew the truth: they were in serious danger. But in that moment, all he could offer was the thin cloth of hope, stretched and fragile. Maybe we can find something to barricade the door, Sam suggested urgently, glancing around the dim interior. They scanned the small space, looking for anything that could provide even a little more security. A rickety table lay on its side, and an old chair seemed sturdy enough to be pushed against the door. It just moved first, rushing toward the furniture as Sam followed. Help us! Mike's instincts kicked in. He set Leo down carefully, then turned and helped strain against the door, forcing the table and chair into place. The hasty plan gave Mike just a moment to breathe as he settled the furniture against the old wood. We've got to make it seem like there's no one here, Mike urged, the sense of urgency burning through him. The rain kept pounding, muffling the world outside, yet the growling didn't cease. Instead, it grew more agitated. Suddenly, a loud, splintering crack echoed from the door, sending Jess stumbling backward in fright. What was that? She exclaimed, hands over her mouth. Stay back! Mike shouted, his heart racing. He could see the fear etched across their faces, the panic reaching critical levels. If they broke through in that moment, something shifted outside. The growling ceased. As if sensing their heightened need for silence, the dark night closed in for a moment, leaving behind only the echo of rain against the roof. A terrifying thought hit Mike: what if they were simply waiting? What if their enemies were allowing the bait to settle, only to strike when they least expected it? I have to draw them away, Mike said suddenly, a plan forming between sheer desperation and instinct. There was no time for a weary heart. Sam, take Leo and Jess. Stay hidden. Don't come out until it's safe. No! Leo shouted, clinging tightly to Sam's leg. Don't go, Daddy. Leo, listen to me. Mike dropped to his knees, meeting his son's eyes, the weight of their situation crashing over him. This is the only way. I'll be right back. I promise. Tears welled in Leo's eyes. But what if? "I'll be fine," Mike insisted, though the words felt heavy and frail in his throat. He straightened himself, determination hardening his resolve. "You have to trust me." Just then, a deeper growl rumbled from beyond the door, thick and vicious, echoing like a sinister promise. The shadows lunged against the cabin, slamming into it with a force that rattled the walls. "Go," Mike urged, giving Leo one last look filled with a warmth that he hoped conveyed all the love he felt. Leo hesitated, glancing between him and Sam, as if searching for a way to reconcile their fear. Finally, Sam gripped Leo's shoulder fiercely. "We'll be fine." "Just wait a little longer," Sam said, pulling him toward the far corner of the cabin where shadows lay thick. The growling picked up rhythm, a frantic dance outside. Time was slipping by, and Mike took a breath, steeling himself. With a final nod, he moved towards the door, feeling the weight of the world on his shoulders. As he reached for the handle, he can't help but wonder, would he be able to lure the threat away? And if he did, would his family still be there when he returned? The door shuddered violently again, as if reminding him that choices had consequences, and he had teetered precariously on the edge of a very dangerous game. As Mike swung the door open, a surge of cold air rushed in, filled with cries that cried for justice and fear. What awaited him could change everything. What if this was the moment they had all been waiting for? The door creaked open, revealing a darkened landscape that swirled with shadows, each movement a flicker of chaos lit only by distant flashes of lightning. Mike stepped out, heart pounding, adrenaline surging through him. The predator outside had gone quiet, but he could still feel its presence, an unseen weight that hung heavy in the air. "Come on," he whispered to himself, forcing his feet to carry him forward despite the instinct screaming for him to retreat. He moved away from the cabin, straining to stay low against the onslaught of rain. The downpour blended with the night, both blurring his vision and surging adrenaline that narrowed his focus. The growling had turned to an eerie silence, broken only by the relentless rhythm of rain. Mike peered into the blackness, hoping to catch a glimpse of whatever hunted them. In that moment, he felt painfully vulnerable, exposed. The sounds of the cabin, Leo's soft whimpers, Jess's quiet breaths floated in his mind, urging him to hurry back to them. A rustle in the nearby brush made him freeze. Heart racing, he squinted into the darkness, eyes scanning every inch of land, searching for any sign of movement. Seconds stretched into what felt like hours as he held his breath, waiting. Then, from the corner of his eye, he caught a shadow slipping through the trees. Mike's instincts kicked in. Without thinking, he called out, "Hey! Over here!" His voice echoed into the night, breaking the silence like glass shattering, and the growl returned, low and menacing, heading toward the sound he'd made. Panic flooded Mike. What had he done? He could almost hear Leo's voice, feel it softly imploring him to come back. But it was too late now. He took several quick steps away from the direction of the sound, hoping to draw the creature back and allow his family to remain safe inside. As he ran, he couldn't help but glance back toward the cabin. The thought of them waiting petrified and clinging to each other doubled his resolve. They had to survive this. Just then, Mike stumbled over a fallen tree branch, tumbling to the ground. Pain shot through his knee, but he pushed himself back up, the adrenaline drowning out any discomfort. He kept moving, dodging the dense trees, heart racing like a freight train. When he saw the figure. It stood still for a moment before moving quickly toward him from the shadows. Panic twisted in his stomach, but then a familiar voice broke through the storm. "Mike! Over here!" It was Jess, her voice cutting through the chaos. His heart swelled with relief, but panic quickly replaced it. "What are you doing out here?" he called back, urgency and fear threading his words. "You need to go back." Before Jess could respond, a savage snarl came from behind her. Mike's blood ran cold as he heard the pitter-patter of claws on the wet ground. "Run!" he shouted, but it was too late. The creature burst from the shadows, jaws wide, filled with sharp teeth gleaming in the dim light. Time slowed, and Mike instinctively stepped in front of Jess, an instinctual move fueled by every protective instinct he had. "Get back!" he yelled, flinging out his arms, though they felt meager against the force barreling toward them. In that instant, everything shifted. Someone arrived, another figure leaping out from the tree line, rushing past Mike with a speed that defied reason. A fierce collision of bodies echoed like thunder as the newcomer took the creature down. Dread deepened his breath, but there was a fierce light of hope shining bright. Who was this stranger, and what did they want? The moments hung pregnant with uncertainty, the outcome shrouded in doubt. As the fight unfolded before Mike's eyes, his thoughts flickered back to Leo. They needed to get back to the cabin. But the shadows of their fear were closing in, and the battle they were witnessing could change everything. Would they finally have a chance to escape, or was this just the beginning of something far worse? Now caught in the throes of chaos, Mike realized one painful truth: he needed to protect not only his heart but the family tied to it. And time was running out. Mike's heart raced as he processed the scene. The stranger and the creature were locked in a powerful struggle. Huge jaws snapped dangerously close, but the newcomer evaded them with a grace he had never imagined a human could possess. The rain poured, drenching them all, but Mike barely noticed. All that mattered was Jess standing right behind him, her wide eyes reflecting both fear and a flicker of hope. "Stay back!" Mike barked, stepping sideways to shield Jess from the fray. He could hear her muffled breaths, each one a tiny reminder of what was at stake. Leo was still inside, waiting, and Mike wouldn't let anything happen to his family. The chaos drew closer to them. The creature let out a deafening roar, its claws raking through the air with a ferocity that sent chills down Mike's spine. Adrenaline coursed through him, blurring the lines of fear and determination. "Who are you?" he shouted to the stranger, taking one careful step forward, hand clenched into fists. "Just keep your head down." The newcomer shouted back without a glance. Even as they fought, Mike's mind raced through a dozen thoughts. Did this stranger have a plan? Was he here to help, or had he simply followed his own agenda into this madness? He saw the creature rear back, preparing to strike again, and fear gripped him. Then, in a quick motion, the stranger knocked the creature off balance, stumbling it to the ground. For a brief second, the creature was vulnerable. The chance hung in the air like a breath caught in a throat. Mike's instincts kicked in. "Now!" he yelled, desperate. "We need to go." Jess stood frozen, eyes wide. "But Leo!" He turned, willing himself to find the courage he felt he was losing. "I'll get him." You. Before he could finish, the creature roared again, breaking free from the stranger's grip. Mike's heart dropped as he watched the creature twist, lashing out with wild fury. "Watch out!" the stranger shouted, lunging to redirect the creature's attention. In that moment, everything slowed down. Mike saw Jess's eyes locking onto his, the understanding and desperation flashing between them. He had made a promise to protect. With one last glance at Jess, he dashed toward the cabin, urgency propelling him onward. The wind howled around him, the rain slapping against his skin. He was nearly at the porch when he heard a commotion behind him: thuds, snarls, and the sickening sound of impact. He didn't dare look back but could feel the fear crawling up his spine. "Oh God, please!" He snatched the door open, his heart pounding as he rushed inside. The glow of a small lantern lit the room. Leo sat on the floor, wide-eyed and shaking. "Dad! Stay close!" Mike snapped, grabbing Leo's arm. "We need to stay safe." But Leo's gaze was drawn to the door, and Mike's heart sank at the reality of their situation. They weren't safe yet. There was a sudden crash, the door splintering as something collided against it. Mike's breath hitched in his throat, adrenaline surging. The walls of the cabin felt like they were closing in, and he had to act fast. "Leo!" It was Jess's voice, shouting from outside, a mixture of urgency and fear. "Jess!" Mike shouted, rushing to the door, but he hesitated. Should he leave Leo? Doubt clawed at him as he stood there, torn between love and duty. "Help her!" Leo pleaded, tiny hands clutching at Mike's pant leg. But just then, a flash of movement caught Mike's eye. The stranger was racing toward the cabin, the creature hot on their heels. "Get in!" the stranger yelled, breathless. "Now!" Without thinking, Mike bolted forward, holding the door open wide, every instinct screaming for him to protect them all. But as the chaos unfolded, one question echoed in his mind: would they have the strength to face whatever lay ahead together? The cabin shuddered again, tremors rippling through the floor as Mike braced himself. The growling intensified, but this time it felt different, more desperate, more primal. As the stranger raced through the door, Mike heard another deafening crash behind them. "Get inside!" he shouted, urgency pushing him. He barely noticed the stranger tumbled in beside him, the door slamming shut just as the shadows outside seemed to lumber closer. Jess was still out there, and the thought twisted his heart. "What do we do?" he asked the stranger, grabbing hold of Leo's tiny hand, his grip fierce. "How do we stop it?" "We need to take our stand," the stranger replied, eyes sharp and calculating. "But you have to keep Leo safe at all costs." Tears filled Mike's eyes as he glanced down at his son, who looked so small and terrified surrounded by this chaos. "I promise, buddy, I won't let anything happen to you," he assured Leo. Leo nodded, though Mike could see the fear still flickering in his gaze. "Keep him behind you," the stranger instructed, pushing a battered piece of furniture, a rickety table, against the door. "We won't have much time." The growling escalated to a deafening rumble, claws scraping against the wood like a haunting serenade. Leo flinched, his small body pressing hard against Mike. "Dad!" he cried, trembling. Mike glanced up, meeting Jess's eyes as she was finally pulled through the door, soaked and panting. Relief flooded over him until he saw the fear painted on her face. "I thought I lost you," he exclaimed, edged with panic and gratitude. "Let us hold the door," she shouted, helping steady the barricade. "Whatever is out there won't give up easily." Just then, with a thunderous growl, the creatures surged against the door, teeth snapping just inches from their faces. Mike felt adrenaline spike through him, desperate to fend off the danger closing in on them. "There's a back window," Sam, the stranger, barked, eyes darting. "We can't stay here." In that instant, Mike made a choice. "We need to move. We fight our way out," he shouted, nudging Leo toward Jess as Sam helped reinforce the door. "Go!" With time slipping away, Mike turned back to face the door, determination rallying within him. He would not cower in fear, he would protect his family, no matter the odds. "On three!" Sam barked, pushing against the table. 1, 2, 3. With ferocious urgency, they pushed back against the door. The creature reared up, snarling, its dark shape looming ominously. The door crashed against the table, which groaned under the strain, but their collective strength held. "Now!" Mike urged. "To the window!" In a harried rush, they scrambled toward the back, Leo clinging tightly to Jess as she hoisted him up. The attack on the door was relentless, the sound chilling as it splintered. "I can't hold it much longer," Sam shouted. They squeezed through the window, desperation propelling them into the night. The rain soaked through to their bones, but freedom surged in their hearts. "Run!" Mike yelled, knowing they were still in danger. They darted from the cabin as the growling intensified, echoing behind them like a thunderstorm unleashed, dodging and weaving through the woods. Mike held Leo close, his heart racing. They couldn't stop now, not until they found safety. "Up ahead!" Jess pointed, spotting a flicker of light between the massive trees. A nearby farmhouse glowed softly from the distance, a beacon of hope cutting through the darkness. Just as they surged forward, Mike could hear the creature's growl vibrating in the distance, driving them onward. He refused to look back. Keeping Leo protected behind him, he pushed through the rain, determination igniting with each step. "Almost there!" Sam shouted from behind, clearly pushing their own limits. They reached the porch of the farmhouse, relief flooding into their lungs. Mike slammed through the door, and they stumbled inside, the warmth wrapping around them like a cocoon. "Lock it!" Jess urged, blocking the door behind them as they hastily pulled it shut, breathing heavily, hearts pounding as they heard the growl once more, this time just outside. "Why won't it give up?" Leo whimpered, eyes wide and terrified. "It's just a monster," Mike reassured, kneeling down beside his son, holding him close as Jess and Sam hurried to find something to barricade the door. "But why do they want me?" Leo's voice cracked, burning with both fear and a defiance that pushed against his father's heart. "They think you're special because you are." Sam's voice was steady as they moved about the room, searching for anything they could use. We'll explain soon, but first we need to keep you safe. Mike looked around desperately for a plan. We need a way to fight this thing off, he said to Jess and Sam, to protect Leo and each other. Determination firmed Sam's voice as they nodded. We stick together, but we're going to need to be quick and clever. Right, Mike breathed out heavily, squeezed Leo's hand and felt his son nod. No matter what, Leo, we're a team. Always. Yeah, Leo whispered, the fear in his eyes now mixed with a spark of courage, and as the creature outside howled in the night, Mike felt a fierce resolve rise within him like never before. They had faced storms before, but this one would not break them. They were family, bound tightly against the chaos that threatened to tear them apart. Together they would fight. Together they would survive. Because love was the strongest weapon of all. As Mike moved toward the door, prepared to defend what was left of his family, he knew one thing: this was the moment they had been waiting for. And he was ready to face it, no matter the cost. Now more than ever, they needed to believe in each other. They had come too far to turn back now. All right, Mike said, his voice firm and steady. Let us do this. And in that moment, amid the shadows, they stood ready to reclaim their fight for love and safety on their own terms. Together! They called out, the echoes of newfound strength rippling through the storm. So just remember, whenever you feel the storms rolling in, face them with courage because you're never alone. And right now, the story doesn't end here. If you felt even a flicker of hope from this tale, now is the time to take action. Hit that subscribe button immediately so you won't miss the next incredible chapter of transforming stories. Leave a like now, it's crucial to grow the channel and bring more amazing stories your way. Comment below what you thought of this conclusion. Share your feelings, your reactions, and let us keep the conversation going. And don't wait not even one more second. Share this video with at least 5 friends who need a burst of inspiration in their lives. Every action counts for our growing community, and you are what truly matters. Thank you for being part of this journey.